Our hero guide today is going to be on none other than Faceless Void. This hero is insane if you learn how to play around his ultimate properly. A lot like Spectre. Let's go ahead and learn a little bit about him. Welcome everyone, my name is Navitz, represent my esports team, the Sploush Troupe, and this video today is brought to you on behalf of Gamers Class. The way we're going to do this today is we're going to first start by looking at our item build, then we're going to take a look at our skill build, we're going to jump into the talent tree, then what we're going to do is go ahead and watch a Faceless Void replay so we can actually get some of the core concepts down, and afterwards what we'll do is look at item variations and drafting considerations. That's going to kind of be the breakdown of this hero guide. Hopefully it covers pretty much everything you guys need to know. So starting with items, now Faceless Void is probably one of the most complicated carries in terms of deciding which items you want to buy. There's so much to consider. I'm going to go ahead and give you a standard default build and tell you how you're going to want to vary that depending on the draft that you're playing against. So our starting items, this is kind of the new standard for carries. In terms of starting items, you're going to go for your Quelling Blade, two sets of tangos, a Fairy Fire, an Iron Branch, and then a Circlet, or some people like to get the Slippers of Agility. Circlet I think is a little bit better, just because it gives you a little bit more health and survivability. Now, the reason you want the Fairy Fire is so you can make those last second plays. It does give you 85 instant health restore, which is better than before. So this is kind of how you want to start. You do want to send yourself extra regen in the lane if you need it. Don't be afraid to do that. And then what you're going to do is complete your Wraith Band early. You're probably going to go for an early stick, and then you're going to try to get your Hand of Midas as quickly as possible. Yes, Hand of Midas is back into the meta. It is being picked up on a lot of heroes. It gives 2.1% experience based on the creep that you Midas. So the 2.1% is higher than it was before, making it just that much better in terms of getting you higher levels. And Faceless Void is a hero that's really level dependent, especially getting close to like level 8. Level 8 is one of your big timings. We'll talk about that a little bit more when we look at the skill build. Then you're going to go ahead and finish off your power treads, and this is going to give you a lot of attack speed. So the Hand of Midas gives you 40 attack speed. Your power treads also give you 25 attack speed, plus you get to put them on to agility, which gives you which helps you out with the agility and the attack speed as well. Then you're going to finish off your wand and go into a Mask of Madness. Now the reason you're doing this is because this is like a super strong early game timing once you get all of these items here. Let's say you finish off your Mask of Madness, you have your Midas, and you have your treads. You should probably be able to solo kill any core in the game in a Chronosphere. It should be very hard for you not to be able to do that at this timing, especially because this isn't that expensive to get to in comparison to some other items, or to comparison to what other carry heroes want to get. So that's kind of your early game timing. Now we'll think about the next item, and there's a lot to consider in terms of your next item here. So it depends on what you're playing against. If you are playing against a lot of roots or a lot of silences or disables, things of that nature, you're going to want to buy a Manta Style. Manta Style is not an offensive item. You shouldn't think of it offensively. You buy Manta as a defensive item because it's a basic dispel. So, for example, you're playing against a Silencer. If a Silencer global silences, you are probably dead. You need that Manta to survive. You got to break the silence and then use your Time Walk to escape. Your Time Walk's your escape mechanism. Your Manta enables you to Time Walk. Some games, if you're playing against, for example, a lot of stuns or a ton of magic damage, you're gonna go straight from Hand of Midas to Mask of Madness into the Black King bar. And that is just how it has to be. You're going to end up burning those Black King bar charges early, but that's just what happens. Now, if you do go for the Black King bar early, or if you're not playing against a ton of deadly heroes, like a bunch of heroes who are super big threats to you, then you're going to want to get the MKB. The MKB is your it's the item that you want to go for in terms of maximizing the amount of damage you do. It gives you a lot of bonus magical damage. It gives you a 75% chance to pierce through evasion. So this is really good against heroes that pick up radiances or have evasion talents. So MKB is a really good third item. I'll consider your Midas your first, your Mask of Madness your second. So MKB is really good third, or you can go BKB, MKB, if depending on how the game's going. If you're far enough ahead and you feel like you can get away with it, you can go MKB third item. You can go before you get BKB. Sometimes you skip this Manta. Now, the old way you used to play Faceless Void was to go for the early Maelstrom. With the Hand of Midas and the Mask of Madness, you don't necessarily always need this Maelstrom or that builds into the Mjollnir. It's not 100% necessary. And one item I didn't throw into this build, which I don't like that much personally. I don't like the Satanic that much on Faceless Void. I understand why people build it sometimes, but I always feel like when I see a Satanic get built, I typically see Faceless Void lacking a lot of damage. And the reason you want to put Satanic in this build is because your Mask of Madness can be disassembled into the Morbid Mask and the Quarterstaff, and the Quarterstaff can be used to make the Butterfly. So technically Satanic should be somewhere in here. I'm just not going to include it. Now, I did create this guide, but I based it oh, excuse me. I based it off of Immortal Faith's guide. I really like Immortal Faith's guide, so I don't put a lot of effort into keeping these things updated. So if you want to see a standard updated guide, you can check out Immortal Faith's, or you can see mine somewhere on this list. Let's talk about skill builds. Now, this is where things get a little bit interesting for Faceless Void. You usually do want to get level 1 Time Walk unless you have the ability, unless you're trading with somebody early and you're not going to need to Time Walk, then you can get Time Lock. Now, Time Lock is the first spell that you're going to want to max out. I see a lot of Faceless Voids maxing out Time Walk. Typically, what you want to do is really, really be cautious about how you use your Time Walk. If you're a Faceless Void player, especially for newer players, I see a lot of newer players Time Walk forward. They will get themselves in a bad position and they'll have to run away, and Time Walk will be off of cooldown. So sometimes maxing it out to levels 4 by the time you're level 7 makes it so you only have a 6-second cooldown. And a lot of you use this in a way to escape from the bad decisions you make. Really, what you need to be doing is playing around the Time Walk cooldown and being a lot smarter about how you use these. Use your Time Walk as an escape mechanism. You can also use it to kill. You just have to be smart and know that you're not Time Walking yourself into your own death. So first 4 levels are going to be Time Lock most of the time. This is especially true when you're going for this build because you're adding so much attack speed, and then your damage comes from the Time Lock damage. You get the 24% chance to do a bonus 40 damage. It does a stun. It does a double hit. It's really strong. So with the increased attack speed from the Mask of Madness and the Hand of Midas and the damage coming out of Time Lock, that's where all of your power really comes from. So when you're level 7 or 6, you want to be able to get a lot of these Time Lock procs. Very, 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 very important. Now, level 8, most people would want to take or go back and try to finish off Time Walk. You do need to get a point in Time Dilation, and that is because at level 6 is when you obviously get your Chronosphere. You do want to be using that Chronosphere. You do want to be playing around that timing. It's so important. I don't want to under stress how important it is for you to make plays when you have Chronosphere available. It's like being a Spectre and haunting around the map, and farming around the map with Haunt off cooldown for like 3 or 4 minutes. Like, you want your teammates to set up a play. You want to set up a play with your teammates. And the best thing about Chronosphere is that you have the potential to actually disrupt another core from having a really great game. Like, let's say the mid laner or the safe lane is having a great game. You can make that rotation into their lane, Chronosphere, get a kill onto them, and really bring your team back from the brink of defeat if you're properly using your Chronospheres. And then taking a look at how we finish it off, we're basically going to just put 1 point in Time Dilation. Oh, that's right. You do want Time Dilation for the end of your Chronospheres usually, or if somebody has cast a bunch of spells in a recent amount of time, it basically increases their cooldowns, but typically near the end of a chronosphere is when you're going to time dilate. There's going to be people around you casting spells. You're going to want to slow down the people who are outside of the chronosphere, and it's just a really good mechanic for stopping people who have short cooldown spells. Time dilation can be a real big pain for any of those type of heroes. Like if Ember's playing as time dilation, or Bristle, or whoever, like those things are really annoying, or time dilation is really annoying for them, and you only need 1 point in it, and then you can finish it off as your last spell from levels 13, 14, and then 16. Now at level 9 you'll get Time Walk. Level 10, it's up to you whether you want to get your next point in Time Walk or if you want to go into the talent. I would probably prefer going Time Walk level 10 and then getting my time and my talent at level 11. But whichever way you want to do it's really fine. When we look at the talent tree, which we'll be doing now because we're basically done with the skill build, you basically just finish off Chrono and then get your talents as they come. We're going to see our level 10 talent is going to be 8 strength. Now, this one's a little bit tricky here. This is a toss-up. The level 15 talent between 275 Time Walk range and 55 Time Lock damage. If you need... The range is really useful for setting up chronos. It's really useful for moving around the map faster and increasing your farm speed. But if you need damage, you go with the Time Lock damage. Because you have so much attack speed, the amount of damage that this adds is just, it's pretty nutty. And because we want to go for MKB, that also adds attack speed. We're adding quite a bit of damage with this. You basically kill anybody inside of a chronosphere. Level 20, you're pretty much always going to go minus 1.75 Time Walk cooldown. So it's going to reduce Time Walk from 6 seconds to 4.25 seconds, which is really good. You get the ability to farm way faster. You get the ability to jump in and out of fights more safely. Time Walk removes the damage that you took in the last 2 seconds. I should have mentioned that. I just kind of assumed it was known. So if you take a bunch of damage, you pretty much heal it off right away. The 40 attack speed, you're building a ton of attack speed already. Like this is diminishing returns on you at this point. And at level 25, depending on who you're playing against, what the team that you're playing against is looking like. If you have a whole bunch of targets that are really necessary for you to get inside of a chronosphere, then take the additional chronosphere AoE. But if you've got if you've got like hard heroes to fight against, like really good physical damage cores, like maybe you're playing against a PA or you're playing against a Spectre or a Wraith King or something like that, you probably want the back trace damage. It just undoes about 20% of the damage that you take. It's pretty awesome. So that's kind of the build consideration there. Now I'll talk a little bit more about some of these late game items and other things you can do real quick. The Agnum Scepter, I really like Void's Agnum Scepter. It's a great farming mechanic. It's a great initiation. What it does is when you time walk forward, it applies a time lock in an AoE radius around you. So you basically like jump into an area and everything in that area gets hit with a time lock. It's super good. It's a stun. It's a stun. It's good for initiations. It's good for escapes. It's good for farming. I do like this Agnums a lot, and since the Agnums can be consumed, it's good for super late game plays. If you need damage, sometimes you're gonna go for Daedalus. If you need damage and disable, the Bloodthorn is really nice. It also comes with obviously the silence. The Bloodthorn is particularly nice for Faceless Void because in the 5 seconds that you're silenced, all the damage that you do gets amplified by 30% by the time the silence wears out. So once you're done being silenced, let's say you chronosphere somebody, you throw the Bloodthorn on them, you do a bunch of damage to them, they're just like, they've got like 15% health left from full, they're gonna die because of the Bloodthorn additional 30% damage taken during the silence. So that's really nice. If you need to disable super strong passives, you're going to want to buy a Silver Edge sometimes. So I'm thinking of heroes like Spectre, like Bristleback, like Tidehunter. That's really game dependent, and it's probably not Faceless Void that's buying the Silver Edge all the time, but I don't think Silver Edge is necessarily bad on him. In fact, I think that Silver Edge can really work on Faceless Void. It could actually become kind of a meta build later on, but that's kind of how you think about the Silver Edge. And as I mentioned earlier, the Manta is just a fantastic item for most cores. Yeah, that's how we'll think about it. And Satanic, if you need the survivability and the health, Satanic basically brings you back to full health. You disassemble your Mask of Madness, you go Butterfly Satanic, and that's kind of the strategy there. Let's look at neutral items real fast. I'm going to talk about which ones are good on Faceless Void and how to think about them. We'll basically go through the first 4 tiers and quickly talk about those because these are the most important. So obviously, if there's a Royal Jelly, you want one of those charges. Your best item to find is going to be the Iron Talon. Then you would want probably a Poor Man's Shield. You don't really need the Faded Brooch. It's probably going to be better on somebody else. But Poor Man's Shield or Ocean's Heart in the early game. So that's kind of the best tier 1 items for you. When you're looking at tier 2 items, I would say Ring of Aquila is probably your best to find. Next, you're going to want either the Imp Claw, the Vambrace, the Pupil's Gift, or the Dragon Scale. Now that's again game dependent, but these are the best ones for you. So depending on what drops, that's what you want to be considering. One of those 5: Aquila, Pupil's Gift, Imp Claw, Vambrace, or Dragon Scale. Tier 3 items. This is kind of interesting. So the Enchanted Quiver is actually pretty good on you because it adds 400 bonus or 300 bonus magical damage and True Strike to your attack. So if you Chronos Sphere somebody and attack them, it gives you a bonus 300 damage in the Chrono, which could be the difference between you killing and not killing somebody. So Enchanted Quiver is good on melee heroes as well as ranged heroes. Ranged heroes, it obviously gives them the bonus 400 range for 1 hit, but still good on some melee heroes. The Spider Legs are really good for movement speed and jumping in and around a fight, especially if you time walk forward. You might want these from time to time. But the big items that you're going to look to pick up are probably the Paladin Sword, which would give you the lifesteal and damage, the Orb of Destruction, armor reduction, some slow, and then the Titan Sliver, which gives you base attack damage, magic resistance, and status resistance. These are going to be your main items. I don't like the Mindbreaker too much because you do get a passive silence strike every 15 seconds. But if you start with a Chrono if you start a fight with a Chrono, that passive silence strike doesn't mean as much. It does give you magic attack bonus damage and attack speed, which is really nice. A lot of times though, I feel like this is usually better on somebody else, but it's not a bad item. Tier 4 items, what you're going to want is probably, when I look at them, I think that Ninja Gear is probably your best item to get. It lets you cast smoke on yourself. It does give you 20 agility as well and 30 movement speed. This is a lot of movement speed, a lot of agility, and the idea that you can be smoked pretty much all the time setting up kills with Chrono is really, really nice. The Illusionist Cape, very good, gives you agility and strength, and also gives you an illusion to push out waves. And then the Leveler or the Minotaur Horn, these are the ones that I'm going to look at and say, yeah, that's what I'm thinking when I see the neutral items. The Leveler, 60 attack speed, the Minotaur Horn gives you spell immunity. We take a look at tier 5 items. Whatever you find, go ahead. The game is too crazy for it to matter at that point. Just figure it out. I haven't played enough games with these items to know what's the best. I'm sure you can figure it out. Like, you can go for Deso 2, or you can get these crazy boots or the Fallen Sky. It's all nutty, so just have fun if you get to tier 5 items.